Hello everyone, welcome back to the Crimson Market. So today we're going to be working on the Crimson PC. So I'm just going to be doing the unboxing in this video for you. So this one's been a bit of a fun one and got a bit of a story behind the graphics card. So we'll have a bit of a chat about that once I get to it. But where we're going to start, where we're usually going to start in these situations, is the case. Now I've pulled the case out of the box already because I need to take the side panel off because we've sent that off to get bedazzled. No, that's not the right word. No, we're getting some UV printing done on the front of what I reckon you are all going to love. It's a really, really nice design and should come out really good. All right, so in the box with the Hyte case, we get, first things first, we get their manual. And I actually really like this comparative to most. Everything is very, very well diagrammed, and they even color code each part that they're specifically mentioning at that time so that you at no point ever have an issue or can't tell what it's telling you to do. It's very well done for pictures and no actual words. I like it. So we're going to go, I'll just check, I guess we can talk about the case while I got this open. So in the front here, on the side, we're going to fit 280 is the max, or two 120s or two 140s for the max, and obviously the 120s if you want. Up the top here, you can fit up to a 360. So you can fit the three 120s, or if you only want to go with 280, you can fit that. But before I go too much into it, let's pull the case out. Actually, there was another little fact I saw there that's actually good to know. Power supply, up to 235 mil. Most power supplies are going to fit in that. I believe on average they're about 180 mil. And then you get 160 mil clearance for the height off your CPU cooler. And here it actually mentions that your GPU can be up to 75 high and it can be a 375 length. Now we're going to be using a 5080 in this build and we're still not going to hit 375. I was even having a look. So the 5090s, most of them do actually still fit in this case. Just some of them get a little snug towards the side panel. It's not the biggest deal because this case does come with fans in the bottom. So let's grab this. As you can see, I've still got it in its plastic. And once I slide it down, you'll see that there's no side panel. Now, let's get this plastic out of the way. All right, so I'll lay this down just so we can all have a look at it together. So yeah, panel's gone, and it's a really simple panel to remove. One thumb screw on the back, and then it pops off. So you just grab a little tag and you pop it. This one here, it's the angled one. I'll move this back a little bit. This angled one, it actually has two screws at the top and two at the bottom. And this one over here, the other front panel, I can actually show you where the little clip is. Oh no, only the other side has a clip. So this one actually comes off with two screws, 1, 2, and then it releases. Now, just a word of advice though, when you're building in this case and you want to take the panels off to build in it, this one here is actually structural. So if you were to say mount a very heavy AIO or something on the top, without this, you may see some sag. So when building, if you're going to take the front panel off, try and keep this one on. Trust me, you have plenty of room to build in this. This case is huge. This is probably would have fit that Kitsune computer in it twice over. That's the difference. All right, so the case comes, now I'm hoping you can see this top here, but actually, you know what, I'll turn it around so we can all see. At the back here, there's a little clip. You just pop that up, panel comes off. Now, when you take the top panel off, you'll notice up here, let's move that a little closer. This one here, that's your radiator cage, or I don't know, space for it essentially. So what you do is you actually remove your 6 screws here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That actually comes out, and then you can mount your radiator on the top and your fans to it, and then slide it back in. That's all mounted. Might be a little hard to see. As I said, this case is huge, And I don't have the most amount of room. Now, as you can see, it's completely screwless. It just pops on, pops off. Very convenient. The back one here, I'll just show you. You actually thumb screw there at the back, and then when you take it off, you just go pop, and all that comes off with it. I'm not going to unscrew that now. So you'll see it's perforated side panel, which means it's extremely good for ventilation. I'm actually going to need to grab a screwdriver so that I can pop this off, because I was just thinking to myself, what's the point of trying to show you what's at the back here if I can't? All right, that's just an old screwdriver we had sitting around quickly. There we go. Now, it is a thumb screw, but it's not on there loose. So I'll remove that one quickly. Sit that one on the bench, because I'll put that one straight back on. And you just pop that off. Done. Right, so side panel. As you can see, it's got a built-in dust filter, which is great with perforated wall. Oh God, that box from the bloody case here has made a mess and a half. All right, so let's go on about this. So first things first, power supply will go in here, which is where the limitation on size comes in. We don't have that issue. And then you get under here and all up the side here. So you'll see you got your little rubber grommets here to get your cables in, so you can get around to the motherboard. You got plenty of room for cable management. It comes with its own like casing, so there's for the fans, because there will be 3 of them in this one. I'll show you them in a sec. All right, so I'll just turn this around. At the back here, again, just thumb screws. And they actually don't like fall out, and ta-da. So you got 2 of them where you can fit 1 full-size drive, like old hard drive, or you can fit 2 SSDs. All right, so this is actually the case. There we go. There we go. So that'll come with a audio jack, because the front of this case has 1 audio microphone jack, so you use that to split. Then it comes with all the screws and the cable ties that you should possibly need. And I'm just gonna, I bumped the camera, my apologies. I'm actually gonna pull this out, because there's something I want to show you with this very quickly, which is kudos to Hyte. That's just a standoff, we don't sit that back in there. But it actually says on it, 22 pieces for motherboard and SSDs. There's your motherboard screws. This one, 5 pieces for PSU, so power supply. Bang, there's your power supply. Next one, 9 screws for your hard drives. Bam, there's your hard drive screws. Just by them labeling that makes the entire thing 10 times easier. Usually I'd have to sit here, separate this, which ones were which, and have them in little bowls off to the side so that they're ready for a build. This, I don't need to. Hallelujah. I'll just leave the cable ties in that box for now, because that's where we're going to need them later on. And so anyone else who does get this case, that's where you'll find all your stuff, just in that bay there. I'm actually going to chuck that back in there for now. Excuse me. So you get 2 of these storage bays in this case, and so you can fit 4 SSDs or 2 hard drives. We're personally not actually going to be using any of them, but that's only because we're going to be using onboard M.2, which is what we usually use. Let's get that ugly screwdriver out of the way. All right, so I'll just turn this around. Yeah, so we explained that. All right, so it comes with 2 fans at the bottom, pre-installed, which I'll flip this up and I will show you them. Just under this, just clips. That's a bit easier to see. So it's got 2 120s in there. You can fit 2 140s in the bottom here. They don't include them, and it's not the biggest deal. This is just, we've got that to grow up to blow in. And it'll go all the way to the top, which will be blowing out. The back fan as well will be pulling in, so everything pulls in and goes straight to the top. And that's what we're going to go for with this loop. Yeah. All right, so it's easy peasy. It's just, I'm trying to do this above my head. There we go. Look at that. It's even easy to do with when you can't see. You got the legs on this. You've got about 20 mil, maybe slightly more, which is enough to have it off the ground so that it can actually suck in oxygen. All right, now that we've searched, I've shown you them. Let's flip this back over. All right, so this case, which I love the red and black with this case. All right, so it comes with, you know what, I can actually pull this little bit of foam out so I can show you. It comes with a riser cable, which when you pick the red one, it comes with a red riser, which is lovely. And then you got your vertical mount down there. Really nice. What else does this? Yeah, so graphics card. And it does have all your little slots go in down the bottom here. So they're your normal PCI slots for network cards, sound cards, media card, whatever you're using at the time. Wi-Fi card, if I've said that twice, maybe. Yeah, so plenty of room, and they will go in behind your graphics card, so you don't even see anything. So if you're running RGB cabling or something that's going to get in the way there, like if you're running those strips that some people like to put in computers, I've personally never understood it, but each to their own, right? Alrighty. So what else do we have to talk about in this case? Oh yeah, so as I said, yeah, there's 120 on the back here. You can fit 140 on the mill. For 140 mil fan, just like you can down the bottom, but they come with a 120, and that is more than adequate for what we're using for anything really. Let's be honest, we're going to be using a lot of cooling in general for the CPU, and the GPU's got that extra from the bottom anyways. All right, so I'm just going to undo. Oh, wrong screw to undo. That is the screw for the front panel that when I had to take it off, because the front panel, as I mentioned, are not here. If any of you are in Australia or in Queensland, there's a mob here in Brisbane called Photo Etch, and they do some fantastic work. We had to go in there, and this panel was a bit harder to get done because of the bracket. So all the machines only come with a 2 mil gap, so that you can actually, like, you only have 2 mil clearance on the sides, because the way like UV printing or any of that works, they actually need to like print it to the film, or they need to spray it on. So if they spray it and it's a little too high, it goes everywhere. If they try and like label it and it's too high, you get creases. And if you're trying to etch it itself with like glass etching, of course, it's not going to work either, because you're not going to get the right depth. So you may either not touch it enough, or when you try and over correct it, you may do it too far and end up cracking it. So these guys, they figured out a way to get it around, and can't wait till we get to show you that, because actually I'm looking forward to seeing it myself. All right, so I'm going to turn this back around. We're going to put that side panel back on. I believe that's everything. Oh yeah, let's check out the front I/O before I forget. So it's a button, 2 USB 3.2. Yeah, 3.2, 1 USB-C, and the audio jack that I mentioned, which is the 1 for 2. So that's what that cable is for, which I probably should have put that back in the case screw box. So I'm going to turn this around anyways to put that back panel back on. So let's do that very quickly. And whilst I'm here, I'll let that go again. Pull it out real quickly. Chuck that cable in there. Because whoever wins this one, whichever lucky duck gets to walk away with this, or well, get a chip to them, probably may need that. Personally, on my home rig, I don't run audio through that. I've got a audio conversion jack from Razer. That's who it is. And that's just USB. Gives me everything I need. So let's get this one back on. All right, make sure that cable's out of the way. So that just pops in. Not sure if you'll be able to see. see this one necessarily, because I'm not quite lining up for me. There we go. You're supposed to just be able to pop it in, but unless you got it lined up, it won't pop in, of course. Interesting. It's not popping in for me. Oh, there we go. Easy peasy. Wow. Kind of. Alright, so we can set this off to the side now. Get it out of the way. Mind the chair squeaking. I'm actually going to have to stand up to move this one because it's quite large. Alright, let's sit back down. Alright, so the next step we're going to start with, let's check out the motherboard that we're using. Alright, so we're going with MSI, and you're going to see that to be a little bit of a theme in this build. Not intentionally though, because if I did notice it, I would have gone with a little bit more MSI parts like a power supply. But that's alright. So MSI, it's the Z890, it's the Gaming Plus Wi-Fi, which means it should be socket 1851, full ATX, DDR5. With, yeah, that's very thick. That's why. Actually, that's pretty cool. We chuck that on the side. So that should just be what? SATA, Wi-Fi. That's your Wi-Fi antenna. Alright, so let's chuck this one back in there. That was cool, actually. A little part of the packaging sort of thing. Alright, let's get the motherboard out. This is going to be the easiest part. Yeah. And like I've recommended on the other videos, let's use the motherboard box. Anti-static and all. Alright, so let's crack the seal on this one. Oh man, this motherboard is huge compared to the other one from the Kitsby build. Oh, I'll set that there for now. Don't need to. Alright, so built-in I/O shield, which most do these days. So yeah, as said, it's a 1851 socket, 4 sticks DDR5. It's got the capabilities of, what is it, 1, 2, 3, maybe even a 4th. I'm not exactly sure. M.2s. I believe it's only 3 though. No, it is 4. Yeah, there is a 4th one on that side. I can see it from the side. So what else do we have with this case? Motherboard. Not much to talk about, as I said. So these are Gen 5 slots. You got one of them for your M.2. I believe I'm only using a 4th gen though. And honestly, I wouldn't notice the difference. I doubt most people would. Yeah, so as said, Z890, that's pretty much all of it. I really love this black gaming. How pretty. All right, it's full black PCB, as you can see, which it's not just colored on top. Yeah. All righty, let's get this one back in its wrapper. All right, unless it wants to be as difficult as possible, because why the heck not? Alrighty, Roo. So now that that's completed, shown, check that one back in the box. There we go. I'm not going to close that like that. I'll fix it up first, so I'm not crushing nothing. Alright, so with that motherboard, we're going to pair that with the Intel Core Ultra Series 2, which as mentioned is a LGA 1851. And there's the security seal. I'm actually going to grab my little knife for this one. So what else can we tell you about this? So it's a 24 core, was it 5.6 gigahertz CPU? Yeah. Alrighty. Little Intel booklet, tell you how to install it. And this one actually comes with the... Alright, first things first. Let's slide this out. Very pretty. Core Ultra 9. I'll set that one over there carefully. So this one actually comes with the stock Intel cooler, which I do want to point out to everyone right now. These new coolers, compared to what they were using in, say, what was it? Back at like the 10th gen, which was the one that they used all the way back to like 2nd gen, if I remember. It might have been 3rd. That one worked sort of well, but as the later years came to it, it wasn't keeping up with CPUs, even with mid-tier ones were having an issue. This one, on the other hand, is quite nice. It's much nicer to look at, and it does work better. But unfortunately, when you're using something like an Ultra, especially the Ultra 9, this just won't cut it. Sorry, kid. All right, so I do want to point out this comes pre-pasted with a little bracket attached. For anyone who's... So, like, let me just state, if you're buying, say, the Core Ultra, say, even the i5, perfect. i7, most of the time, perfect. In Queensland here, we'll get 40-plus degree days, and if you're going to try and game for a few hours on that, you might find it to be sitting a little higher than comfortable, but it's all preference. Everything's got a TG, like a junction max anyways for that sort of stuff, so you're not going to damage components in this day and age from overheating. All right, so I'm actually going to slide that one back in there really nicely. And I'll chuck that one back in its box. You know what? I'll even put it in the right way. Why not? All right, so we've talked about the motherboard, the CPU. What else do we need to go through that goes with the motherboard? All right, I think the next one we'll go with is we'll check out what the M.2 I'm using is. So we're actually going to be... so much mess off these boxes. All right, so we're actually going to be using the P3 Plus. If you've watched the previous videos, you'll see that this is a common one. We use it blatantly because it is a reliable... It is fast speed, and you get a 4 terabyte at a reasonable price. And when I say reasonable, I mean you're not going to break your wallet trying to get a SSD. So what can I tell you about this? 4 terabyte Crucial P3 Plus M.2. It's an NVMe PCI Express SSD, 4800 megahertz read lecture reads, and that's about it. Now I'm not going to bother unboxing it. Everyone knows what like an M.2 looks like. It looks like that picture, about the same size, and we'll chuck that in the motherboard for the build. All right, now I've actually got, for the RAM, I got some VENTUS. So it's got the Corsair VENTUS DDR5, which is Intel XMP ready. We're also using one that has 6400, I'm sure it says it on it. Yeah, 6400 megahertz max. No ARGB or anything like that on these sticks, but that's just completely preferential. Personally, it's not necessarily my favorite. Once you start factoring in too much ARGB like that, it starts to look a little messy. Excuse me, just having a drink. All right, so I guess that's kind of like the M.2. Most people know what it looks like. If not, it's that stick, but it's long ways length because we'll get 2 in here. We're running the 4, so we've got 64 gig, which is huge amounts for DDR5. Huge amounts. All right, so the rest of the motherboard would be the cooler for our CPU. All right, so let's check out what we're actually using to cool that Ultra 9. And you'll see the MSI logo again. So we're going to be using the MSI CORELIQUID A13. It's a 360mm radiator with 3 120mm fans. And, well, I don't know about you, but I trust MSI. I've bought a lot of stuff from them over the years, and I've never been disappointed in what I've gotten. Yeah. So this one actually, it suits and fits. There we go. It suits and fits our 1851 socket, but it also does everything down to, I think I even saw on it that it had like AM5, AM4, of course, but it also had the 1151 socket from Intel, which is like 7th, 8th gen, if I remember correctly. So these are very resilient, can be used in pretty much anything. All right, so it comes with their little booklet. European Union, that's good for them. Shout out, share your MSI experience. Go to our website, post your review on approved things. Good for them. All right, so this comes with the back plate, the mounting screws, and thermal paste, which, interesting. I was certain this one came pre-pasted. Apparently it doesn't. Okay, so that's what I forgot about. That's all right. I have some here, and I did actually grab just a little stick I had sitting here. It's from an Aorus build. All of it's just, it's MSI's, Aorus, all of their blends for their proprietary stuff here. It's all the same. Unless you actually go out of your way and buy specific cooler, like thermal paste, you're not going to get any difference. All right, so this actually, there's something I didn't realize was going to happen. The fans, all 3 fans, are actually pre-installed onto the radiator. I will admit, I don't think I've actually seen that before. It's a little annoying. It means I now have to unscrew them to mount the radiator to the top and the fans to the bottom of that bracket. But honestly, if you were just using this as your personal build and you're going into a lot of cases, like I've got a Cougar Evo, Panzer Evo, I believe it is. And if you're trying to mount into that, that'd work perfectly. All you'd have to do is just screw in the top. But unfortunately, we're not doing it that way. As said, comes with not pre-applied thermal paste. I do want to point out to anyone who's doing this, make sure you take that off. Do not forget to peel that, because otherwise you are not cooling anything. All right, so what else it's got its ARGB cabling for each fans, which I believe give you, the daisy chain cabling, so you can actually connect them all to just one. I'm not sure exactly if that's what we're going to do. I do have a ARGB and PWM fan hub just on the off case. So we got nice braided cabling, perfectly turnable, so you can actually, it's not just fixed. And then on the front of it, you get this big, pretty MSI silver, which, if I remember correctly, there's no like LCD screen or anything like that with this one, thankfully. I don't know about you, but I don't see the necessity for it or anything. It's just not needed. It's more extra colors added to something that, frankly, I love the look of a computer without ARGB. I just like the look of computers in general, especially when they're done well. All right, so I'm going to slide this one back in. I'll chuck this plastic cover back over that. That's all right. I'll just paste that one. Wasn't a big deal that it wasn't pre-pasted. It was just a little unexpected. All right, so I'm actually going to close that back up. I'll chuck that in there again so it's not lost. Chuck their little booklets in. Yeah, so that's the MSI CORELIQUID A13 360. And frankly, it's really, really nice machine, piece of equipment. And honestly, if anyone, wow, I've just repeated and honestly like 6 times. What I mean though is if you are planning on doing a build where you want a 360mm, but you don't want to spend $300 or $400, MSI have you covered. This is I think current market price is about 110, 120 Australian, which means like US, it's $80 for a 360, which I've got to say is bloody insane to think about. All right, so we're going to chuck that one off to the side. I'm just going to show you a couple little more things. All right, so now we're going to be powering all this with something that we've actually used in the past. If you remember from the Hibernator, this is the exact same one we used then. And there are a few reasons for that. One, it gives us 1,000 watt gold rating at a decent price. It gives us literally more cabling than we can need, more slots. We're not going to run out. It gives us a dedicated GPU slot. So it's got one of the 12 volt 600 watt powers, which obviously is included for the GPU. We usually use the one that's in the case for the GPU because it's never as long, because most of the time you don't need it. Now these ones, there's the cable, power cable, obviously that comes with it. Got that over there. But this, love the fact, oh yeah, there's your little screws too. All right, let's cut this bag open. And I'm going to show you these very nice cables. And when you got your 600 watt power cable braided, the rest shouldn't be. Yeah, that's how you tell the difference with them. But you get plenty of Molex power. You get your obvious 24 pins, 8 pins, CPU, all of that stuff. I just want to show you that. So this is the cable that comes with it. And I'll show you quickly why I don't often use the one that comes with the power supply. Because that length there, to go from a GPU to a power supply, is usually far too long. In this case, because it is so big, there is a chance we'll have to use this one. The one that comes with our GPU might not be long enough, but we'll find out. If it's not, then this one is. And frankly, I love that braided look cable anyways. Looks good in the case. It looks good in general. All right, so let's get this one out. As I said, it's 1,000 watt gold rating. And it's the SilverStone, what is it? DA1000R. Yeah, so we've used this in a previous build. If anyone saw the Hibernator build, which again came out lovely. Yeah, we use this exact one. Now, the way I'm going to be mounting this in the actual case is I want it so that the fan is coming towards the back because it's a perforated back panel, so it'll be able to blow out and keep it even more cool. Yeah, fully modular as mentioned. Lovely. We got semi-falseness switch. Obviously, don't ever use that on unless you need to because you'll blow everything if you're not sure what you're doing. Power switch, standard power cable. All right, so I'll chuck that back in its plastic and we will have a squiz at the next part. Now, I think we've looked at pretty much everything. You might notice I have left the GPU and I've left that to last because there's a bit of a story to that, and I'm going to have fun putting down the company that made that story. All right, so before I actually do get that, as I said, I want to pull it out last. Come on. Yes, I wasn't so graceful putting it in as it was being packed, I'm guessing. Let's just close that one up. I will close that one up properly off of camera. I know it's a little messy off to the side here now, but that's okay. All right, so before I do get to that, I need to show you what case fan. So as I mentioned, the back of the case on the inside allows you to run two 140 mils. Now I've actually grabbed two of SilverStone's, which you'll recognize the brand from our power supply. These offer some very nice fans, 140 mils. Okay, a tiny bit of plastic is actually not going to break. Alrighty, now I can crack this open. Really? There we go. screws for mounting. So it's because every time it was giving me that piece, which is where it hangs in the store. I freaking need that. All right, yeah, as mentioned. And they are pure black, so they stick with the aesthetic of the black and red that we're going for with this crimson PC. Truthfully, we were a little stumped on what to do on this build. We've got a couple really good designs coming out real soon, but unfortunately, we didn't have a chance to get them in production or ready in time. So they're going to be used at a later date. But this computer with the Hyte, the Crimson PC, it's still going to be a... I wonder if I get in trouble for swearing. It's going to be a beeping computer. And we grabbed two of them because we could fit the two. All right, so as mentioned, we got this one. Now, this is the same one I actually bought for the quinceanera, just on the off chance we didn't have enough slots on that. Turns out daisy chaining the fans on the radiators gave us the exact amount that we needed, so woohoo. But I do have a small thing that this motherboard is going to have too short, which means I'm going to have to use this one anyways. There is a possibility I may be able to, say, daisy chain them and connect them all together, but then you start losing control of things. You can't pick fans individually and stuff. This still allows that. All right, last but definitely not least, I'm going to have a quick drink here, guys. Ugh. Water. It's so nice. All right, so this one. Now, many of you know that logo. It's Deepcool. It's not a Deepcool product. It was just sent to me by, I can't even remember the company we bought this one from. So what we're running with today is we're running with the MSI GeForce RTX 5080, and it's a 16 gigabyte Ventus 3X overclock edition. So it's got a core clock speed boost at about 640 megahertz, whilst it's extreme. So if you turn it right up for overclocking, you'll get 2655 out of it comfortably before you want to start thinking about pulling off the cooler on it and water cooling it. All right, so this comes with, now, we're not going to need to use this. Why is this white? All right, so we are gone through all the parts so far minus this one here. So today we're going to be using the MSI GeForce RTX 5080. So it's 16 gigabyte Ventus 3X, obviously. And if I remember correctly, so this one is 16 gigabytes. So we're going to crack this open. Now you're going to notice that everything we've used so far stuck to the black, whilst the case had the red, so we could stick to that sort of vibe. We actually went with something a little different here, and it sort of wasn't by choice, sort of was. Now, this is actually the graphics card that we ordered to build in the kitsune. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. There's a very strong possibility I haven't this entire time. But this one we bought because we actually ordered a water block. So we were going to pull this one apart, and I was going to take off the cooling and the back plate and add a water cooler to this. Unfortunately, thanks to, and you may have already heard my rant about these guys once, but I'm going to do it again. Thanks to PLE, we still don't have that water block. They let me order it, told me it was in stock, and then kept telling me a new ETA would be the next week over. I want to point out now we're at probably week 7 or 8, at least, probably, and I still don't have the water block. Now, I would have understood because I did call them after like 2 weeks, and they told me that the manufacturer hasn't sent it to them. Now, I understand they've got an expected date for the part to arrive and then all that. But if that's the case, don't be sitting there and saying it's on, like it's in store. I saw literally just last night, their website still says it's in store. So I don't feel bad about ragging on them because that is unacceptable. It's a $400 part that I've bought one of, which I can guarantee many other people have ordered and have not received their part. All right, so let's crack this open. So this is why it was a little different to the rest of our build. It's actually a white GPU. Now, personally, I think it's going to look fantastic in this build as just something a little different. Now, this GPU comes with its little standoff for GPU mount. We don't use that on this build because we're going to go with the vertical mount, thanks to that riser cable. And this one, so we are actually going to be using the cable that came with the power supply no matter what. So this case didn't come with a dedicated to the power supply. It came with the splitter, which means I would have to run 3 Molex powers to get the 600 watt out. And I don't want to do that. That's not even close to happening. I'd rather not. There is a small possibility that when I build this and I plug the black cable into this GPU, it's not going to look right. And I'll be forced to plug this into the GPU and run those cables in behind so they're not visible, and then have to run the 3 Molex powers. Now, unideal, but depending on the aesthetics and what looks better will determine exactly if I am going to use this. I really hope it looks good without it, because it's kind of just a hassle. All right, so let's grab the GPU out quickly. We're almost done here, guys. And I'll quickly just set this one back down nice and softly. Comes with their little graphics card start guide, system requirements, packaging contents, auxiliary tools, and a whole array of different languages. Don't know why that was so hard. In English, just has precautions for use, hardware installation, software installation. All stuff that people should know about, I would believe. But if not, so when it comes to running your graphics card drivers, don't go out of your way to try and download specific from the manufacturer. Personally, I use GeForce Experience, so it's GeForce Experience, and I use that because that automatically updates and / notifies me when an update is available. It just makes it very convenient. It means I don't have to go chasing drivers down once I install Windows. So that's what I'll do. Once this computer is built, Windows is installed, we'll run GeForce Experience to update those drivers. All right, so let's move that one out of the way while I grab this. All right, so I'll set that one down on my mat. All right, let's get it out of the bag. And I was actually curious. I think I bumped the camera. My apologies. I was actually curious because I want to show you. This is quite a long card that I actually wanted to grab my tape measure out, because we were talking about the case having a 375mm clearance. I believe this one should only be 280, and that's for a 5080. I could be wrong. I don't actually remember. Honestly, I've been ordering quite a few parts lately, so I'm not exactly sure. But here's the tape measure. Let's test this out. Let's see if I was right. Oh, it's 30 centimeters, so it's 300. Okay, so I was a little off, but yeah, as you know, we're going to have plenty of room with that case. There's a beautiful case. It gives you so much room for everything. We've got the plastic seals on there. I'm actually going to leave them on until I'm ready to put the part in there. Comes with the little cover on your PCI Express slot. Yeah, so as mentioned, I'm going to mount this vertical style. See how, as I said, the power cable goes in here. There might be a chance that black going into this doesn't look right. So we'll see aesthetically what looks better, and there is a possibility that I'll use that cable. All right, but I think we're done there. That's everything I needed / wanted to show you for this build, the Crimson PC, which personally I think it's going to come out lovely. I'm actually semi-excited to build in a Hyte case again. It's been a while, but they've definitely earned their reputation as great case builders. This one I am impressed by. And anyone who's bought the Y60 or even one of the Y70s that have come out a little while ago now, well, they're not necessarily new, but they come with the like the LCD screen on the side. Really nice looker. Bit of a hassle setting them up because they actually run like a monitor, so you end up having to mess around with it in graphics settings and stuff like that. All right, I'm going to chuck this back in the bag, but before I do that, I'm going to say goodbye to you all so I can actually start on the build itself. So thank you all, and goodbye from the Crimson Market.